to another episode of Jabroni Drive, broadcasting live from beautiful Long Beach Island, where we're sold out. On this week's episode, we talk about Seth Rollins, Money in the Bank, Drew McIntyre, John Cena, Rhea Ripley, Cody Rhodes, Dom, and Kevin Owens. Will this be the greatest episode of Jabroni Drive yet? I believe so. Tim, do you have anything you'd like to say to all the Schmidt Lavellites out there?
If you're not down with our podcast, we got 2 words for you.
Oh my goodness. For those of you listening, my mom is sitting in the other room. I'm down the shore at my mom's house recording yet another episode of Jabroni Drive.
And she's the one that told me to do the suck it chant.
Now, it's funny that you did do that. When I was younger, Tim, there's a magical moment that we always bring up, as we were just talking about parenting and how we parent now as opposed to how we parented back when we were younger. Not we parented, but our parents parented. We always bring up a story when my mom was yelling at us, "You're not doing this, you're not doing that, I need you to do this, I need you to do that," and then hit us with the line, "And I'm sick of all of this suck it business." And she did the chop, she did the whole thing. And have you ever had a moment when you were a kid and you're getting in trouble and your parents do something and they're furious, but then everyone kind of just starts laughing because we've reached like my mom just did the suck it sign. Yeah. Where it's like, what are we doing here? And it kind of broke the ice and basically saved our asses from getting beat. But Tim, we do have a lot to cover on this show, and DX won't be one of them, unfortunately. The big news of the night, just announced about an hour ago, Seth Rollins has accepted the challenge by Mr. Bron Breakker on NXT to come there next week and defend his new WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Tim, a lot has been talked about the way that Nick Khan, who is in charge of a lot of things in WWE, has made a focus on, and I don't know if you've noticed the last couple of weeks, more main roster guys appearing on NXT. This is going to add revenue to WWE. This is going to bring in more commercial money. This is going to bring in more views, which will bring in the more commercial money, which will raise the stocks of WWE. Having your WWE Heavyweight Champion, maybe the most over wrestler you could say in the world right now, appearing on NXT is huge for NXT, will be huge for their ratings. I'm expecting a big rating spike. What do you think of this announcement? Seth Rollins booked next week on NXT against Bron Breakker, Scott Steiner's son, the longest, most dominant NXT champion of all time.
I think it's good in terms of what the WWE has promised about this title. So when we first heard about the new title, we heard it was going to be this title that is going to be defended. It's the fighters championship, right? You have to defend it at all time. It's going to be defended on all brands at all times. And it's true to the word right now that we're seeing. And this is going to be the second title defense right now with Seth Rollins.
It'll be his second title defense. Now, I don't want to get into where I think this match is going, but we will cover it later. But yes, his second title defense on NXT against Bron Breakker.
He just defended against Damian Priest.
Yep.
And he has another one scheduled. What?
For Money in the Bank against Finn Balor. Yeah. It's been announced that he'll be defending his title. And this is where it leads me to where I think this is what's going to happen in NXT next week. And this is not a prediction, but a spoiler, as Mr. Paul Heyman would say. Next week, Seth Rollins, Bron Breakker are going to be going at it back and forth. And someone who doesn't want their title chance to disappear, their title opportunity to disappear, is going to come and interfere in the match, costing whomever the match, but not losing the title. You can't lose the title on disqualification. Finn Balor is going to come and interfere in this match next week, saving Bron Breakker from losing and keeping the title on Seth Rollins so that he can defend it at Money in the Bank against him.
So he has obviously NXT ties, more so than Damian Priest, or is that
who's that? Finn Balor?
Finn Balor.
Yes, Finn Balor was an NXT champion. It was where the Demon was introduced. He had a big feud with Samoa Joe years ago before he was called up, and on this past Raw, which we will get to, was talking about how he came up, beat Roman Reigns on his first night, won the very first time, won the Universal title. But yeah, he has ties to NXT. Damian Priest has ties to NXT, but he was a North American champion there. And he had a long run as that and was good. Damian Priest has showed out the last couple of weeks. He's been getting a lot of good feedback.
I think it's been a solid start for this title. Yeah, the introduction of this title, and to see Seth Rollins, who's, we've already highlighted him on shows before about how he's one of the top wrestlers in the business easily. And it was a simple decision to put that strap on him, and he's going to do this title justice. And I don't want to get into Raw without, unless we want to do it now.
All right, so he's going to come in, and sorry, Tim, to cut you off, but let's get into that. So I'll try to lead us right into that. So he's going to come in and defend against Bron Breakker. It's going to give Bron Breakker a great opportunity. As I said, this is where I think Finn Balor is going to come in, interfere, and I think that's going to set up a feud with Bron Breakker and Finn Balor. Now, Finn Balor has been, you can see there's tension between him and Damian Priest in the Judgment Day. Yeah. Yep. And I feel like this is something where this might be the call up for Bron Breakker. This might be the beginning to the call up for Bron Breakker. And I think Breakker's first feud is going to be against Finn Balor. If Finn Balor costs Breakker his chance at the heavyweight title, I'm seeing Breakker cost Finn Balor his chance at the world heavyweight title at Money in the Bank.
Could we see Breakker come up to the main roster and take Finn Balor's place in Judgment Day?
Well, it's funny you say that because he is wearing all black now. I just feel like Finn has had this little conversation with JD McDonough, and he's been called up to the main roster. I feel like the divide with Priest and Balor is just starting, and it's going to drag for a little bit here till it really starts to pick up. And I feel like Breakker is going to be a part of that. Whether or not he joins the Judgment Day, I don't see him joining the Judgment Day. I feel like he's too good on his own, but you never know. I would love it if he did join. I love it if he joins the judge. Any way to get him up and involved in the main roster is going to be good for the main roster. But like we talked about before, when they want to keep the ratings up in NXT, Breakker's good for the ratings in NXT, especially now that he's getting a shot with Seth Rollins, who on Monday night had a promo with Finn Balor, and we really wanted to talk about this, Tim. Yeah, it was almost like it was incredible to watch, but it was almost I felt bad for Finn Balor. The dude couldn't get a sentence out. Seth Rollins basically had to give the promo for him because he's the only one that they would listen to. People are comparing this to the what chant almost.
It basically is. And we saw the return of the what chant with I'm sorry, I'm going off topic here, but what's her name again?
Yeah, Zoe Stark.
Zoe Stark. Um, and I think the worst thing you can do is acknowledge the crowd when you're in that type of situation.
Yeah, that was a
And
fail. He should not have brought up and told them to be quiet because what's funny is, Tim, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but when Dom Dom is going to talk and they know they're going to boo him out of the building, they acknowledge the crowd to get them going. And Finn should have just started with his promo and not acknowledged the crowd to get his stuff out, or they should have done it backstage and have it been a filmed backstage thing where the crowd can't get involved.
yeah, and it was weird because it was a weird spot for Finn to come out like, hey, listen, we got this announcement and it's going to be Finn Balor and he's got something to say. And in my opinion, I'm sitting there, I'm watching it. Is it mom? Say hi to
Ma,
mom.
Tim says hi, Mom. She's getting water ice that we purchased her at the ice cream shop. Go
So
ahead.
so Finn Balor is a guy that um I lost my train of thought now. God damn it.
He
God
was
damn it,
coming
mom.
out. It was kind of out of nowhere.
Oh,
Like he was
yeah,
coming out
yeah.
to
So
announce the
yeah, it was just like a weirdly placed like thing, right? Like Finn's pissed off. They showed like some camera shots backstage, and then all of a sudden he's coming out to the ring, right? Like, hey, we're gonna feature Finn Balor, and he's gonna have something to say. And like you're expecting this big promo. He comes out, and it's just we've talked about this before about Finn Balor. He's not great in delivering his promos, right? He's not an ace on the mic. He's not Seth Rollins. And we said it, you said it a minute ago. Seth Rollins basically did his promo for him. And I don't know if it's Finn's fault because Seth Rollins controls the crowd there. And he could step in and just say, hey, listen, like he could take control of that conversation and then get the crowd quiet because they listen to what he says. And he could let Finn then finally step back in. And I think we saw a little bit of that. Like we tried and the crowd just kept on chanting again. It was just a tough spot. But like I really think that like and even I think Seth said during the promo, he's like, yeah, your promo fell flat or your promo got hijacked or I forget what he said. I forget what like the actual quote was, but he
Yeah, I
did
forget.
reference. He did reference like, "Hey, dude, like your fucking promo sucked," and it did, and it felt like he got lost in what he was trying to say. He got definitely spooked by the crowd.
Yeah, it was
Um,
a shame. It was hard to because, like, honestly, I felt like Finn was ready to give a great promo. I felt like he was prepared. I felt like he had worked for it and whatever. And the ironic thing is I was a Finn Balor hater. Neither of us are really in love with his finishing move, and you especially don't like the coup de grace. And Finn is not someone that I've really been invested in storyline wise. And I thought this was his opportunity, and it hurt me like to see it kind of slipping away from him. And you don't get so many moments like this in the WWE. And if you don't capitalize on those moments, you really don't get them. And
so
so
the late
it
the
was
God,
tough.
I'm sorry.
It was tough
The
because
last
the crowd just wouldn't let him go. And part of me thinks, okay, well, that's warranted. He hasn't earned their attention, you
the
know?
last time the last time that we talked about Finn Balor on the show was at the WrestleMania when him and Edge had that match, busted his head open.
Yeah.
Dude finished the match like a baller. And then like, yeah, he wore the shirt, and then like I don't know, there was nothing came after that. What I love about Finn Balor, what I've always loved about Finn Balor, is the dude looks the part. He looks great. Like he's built like a motherfucker, dude. The
He's
guy is
ripped, as ripped as
shredded.
anyone. Yeah.
He's undersized a little bit, right? But
Right.
he's got the best entrance, like from you can go both sides. Like when he was just regular Finn Balor and when he turns into the demon, those two entrances are bar none a spectacle to watch. Like when he comes down, he gets up on the rope and the music hits and he's doing that. And it's a variation when he's with the Judgment Day. Obviously, he's played down because he's not playing to the crowd anymore. But um, he looks the part. It's just like that connecting with the audience, like connecting and being like I think he could be such a great heel. I really do. And it's fallen flat and it sucks that it is because now where do you go from him? Because like he's starting to lose matches. Yeah, we
He's
talked
falling
about he's
into we said this, and this is going to be our third week of a shout out to Rob DeSantis in our text, but he's falling into the Dolph Ziggler category where, here's a guy that had a lot of potential, had some belts, and is now losing and losing and losing and making these false promises of I'm going to get you, I'm coming after you, I'm going to beat you, and then you never
and
deliver.
and the worst part about it is like this guy is supposed to be the leader of this like feared faction, and it's fallen on deaf ears to me. I mean, to probably the WWE universe. Like I don't respect the Judgment Day as much as I think the WWE wants you to, right? Like I don't think any fan really is like, oh,
It's a
these
great
guys
point,
are
Tim,
a force to reckon with because they're not, because they're not.
because they always
And
lose.
yeah, and there's traction a little bit with Damian Priest. He's starting to be elevated a little bit. You can see that in some of his matches and his bookings. Um, Mommy obviously is where she is, but like Dom has the most heat of all these guys, and now he's going to wrestle Cody Rhodes, and he's probably going to get hit with the cast and going to lose a match. And
Well,
like, look,
you're right.
it's just a shame because like these guys, like they're rudderless in my opinion. Like, where is the Judgment Day going? I from the start of this show, from the start of Judgment, from the start of Jabroni Drive, I've hated on the Judgment Day because I feel like there's no substance there. I really just don't think there's any substance. The only person that carries any weight is Mommy, and
Yeah.
it
Love
sucks, but
mommy.
it's a fact. And yeah, these other three members, I mean, they probably should have just left Edge in charge, to be honest with you.
It just seemed like a waste to be, yeah. And, you know, even then, the Edge storyline, they come up short on the Edge storyline. The storyline against Bad Bunny, they come up short on that. It's just one thing after another. The only one that's winning, Dom loses to Rey Mysterio. You know, the only one that's winning is Rhea. At some point, if you want the Judgment Day to be a legitimate faction, they need to get some gold, whether it be a tag titles, whether it be the intercontinental titles, heavyweight, whatever it is you're doing, you have to throw some gold on them. They have to win something to show that, hey, we're not all just talking trash. We can walk the walk as well. All right.
Right.
So
Yep.
that booking has been poor as far as us believing that they are someone to be reckoned with. Ooh, it's the Judgment Day. They're entertaining. Dom's entertaining. Rhea's someone to mess with, in the women's division. She's the top dog right now. And speaking of Rhea Ripley, a new belt was revealed this week. They've now replaced all the main belts. You have a replacement on the Universal title, the Undisputed. You have the new men's WWE Heavyweight Championship. They've replaced the SmackDown Championship, and they've
Mm-hmm.
replaced the Raw
Yeah.
Women's Championship. Tim, your thoughts on these new belts, and if you've noticed anything similar with them? It seems like the World Heavyweight Championship and the Raw Women's Championship are similar, and the SmackDown Championship and the Undisputed Universal Championship are similar. Now, I know, not to be confusing, Mommy was the SmackDown Women's Champion. They replaced her belt with a belt that looks similar to Seth Rollins. Like, I understand that. So I'm just saying those belts, the people on Raw, their belts look similar. The people on SmackDown, their belts look similar. But I think in my opinion, a total upgrade on the belts.
Yeah, upgrade on the belts. Can't wait until they unify them in 3 years.
it's about as it's about as important as that WWE draft. But I do love the look of the belts. I think it's great. I think the build on Mommy has been incredible. They cut a nice video segment on her. I thought it was good. They've made her look very strong. And I'm happy that Charlotte is back in the mix. I'm a big Charlotte Flair fan. And I think maybe the greatest women's match I've ever seen was Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley, WrestleMania Night 1. So the more Charlotte and Rhea Ripley we can get, the better. All right. We've gotten our final 6 wrestlers for the Money in the Bank match. It's going to be Escobar, Pete Dunne, Damian Priest, Ricochet, Shinsuke Nakamura, and LA Knight. Now, Tim, there's a bunch of different takes on this right now. Something that I will point out. It's not a star-studded list. There's no former WWE champions in there. And to me, looking at that, that might be a good thing because this is delivering now. We're going to get someone here that has not had a main title belt. You're getting new blood into the Money in the Bank title scene. Is it making it predictable? Too predictable on who's going to win? I mean, off the top of your head, if I were to say who's going to win, I'm circling LA Knight. Who do you think is going to be the winner, and why? What is it not? Do we need a star in there?
Well, I think your star is LA Knight. I just don't understand again the booking, because we talked about some of the matches, the matches that led up to these final 6. It's like Montez Ford and LA Knight. Why are they wrestling each other?
Right. Both of those guys should be in this match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense. Like stuff like that, like really kind of, like they're head scratchers to me. And then like you got a guy like Butch, who's been a tag team guy for,
yeah, I called him Pete Dunne, but yeah, it is Butch, but that's what everyone calls him.
Yes, for an Escobar, like he's a LWO guy who's kind of, we haven't really seen him in a ton of action. I mean,
if I could replace a wrestler with Montez Ford, it'd be one of those two. You know what I mean? You throw Montez Ford in that match, and you're interested a little bit more, aren't you?
I'm a little disappointed that you don't get someone from the Alpha Academy maybe in there. Like, give me Chad Gable in there. I would love to see Chad Gable like in contention. Why is he not, like, he's been one of your best guys. He works every show and he shows out every single time. Why do you not give that dude a bone? Throw that dude a bone. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's just a strange like cast of characters that they threw together, and maybe they all fit together in terms of how the match is going to go down. Maybe they feel like they need some high flyers in there, right? With Escobar and with Ricochet and these guys, right? To add to it. But like, Montez Ford is one of your most athletic wrestlers on the roster. So why is this guy not in? Why is he not being featured? Like, did he do something wrong? Is he getting penalized for something? Is he like,
and what are
certain
you,
thing.
Because you're not even doing, it's not like they're doing anything with Street Profits. They're lost too. So if you're not going to do something with the Street Profits, and you're not going to do something with Montez Ford, you're not going to do anything with American Alpha, you're not going to do anything with Chad Gable. When are these guys going to start to get some meaningful storylines and some spotlights on them? What's funny is you see Montez Ford come out and he starts bobbing for the whole crowd. The whole crowd starts bobbing. You see Chad Gable wrestling Monday Night Raw. They're cheering. They're chanting for Chad Gable. Otis is over. The whole story. I mean, think about the story they have with American Alpha and the
Alpha Academy.
Or Alpha Academy, and they have Alpha Academy with the Maximum Male Models.
Look at me correcting you.
Well, we said last week one person rambles on and the other one knows what they're talking about, but we didn't say which one. But so, but you have it with Maxine Dupree, and that's over now. She does a little, an arm drag over, and the place was going nuts. By the way, she looked great in that singlet. I don't know if you noticed that.
Fantastic. Yeah,
Fantastic
fantastic.
in that singlet. But I feel like we could do some things in this Money in the Bank contract. Now, Ricochet and Shinsuke Nakamura, they have a feud going on with Bronson Reed and now with each other. I'm kind of liking that. Oh, timeout. Uh-oh. You're taking a tea. Tim's calling a timeout. Is this another bathroom break or is this something to do with wrestling?
No, I mean, that whole backstage just promo was brutal, in my opinion. I'm like, first of all, I didn't understand what the fuck Shinsuke Nakamura said. Uh, I don't get it. And look, Bronson Reed, I'm starting to come around on him a little bit. He's obviously a force to be reckoned with, but like, I don't know. Like, what was the point of Shinsuke being out at the ring on Raw? He just sat
Well,
there.
yeah, and he was waiting for his moment, and then he interfered, and he ended up clipping Ricochet and costing the match was a DQ. They both want to get back at Bronson Reed for him attacking both of them at the end of their match last week. Is it the greatest storyline yet? No, but I'm telling you, I know you're not huge on Shinsuke Nakamura. He is legit. There's some good stuff with Shinsuke, and the more you can get him involved, you can build. They call him the king of strong style, right? Which is kind of not. Which I would say Gunther is the best strong style wrestler that I've seen, but it's that kind of style. You can get a match with Shinsuke that will wow you, and his entrance is top notch. The language barrier is rough, but I'm happy with them going against each other because I feel like a Ricochet and Shinsuke are both lost right now. And if they can use each other to elevate themselves, I'm for it.
And it sucks though because, in my opinion, I liked what Ricochet was doing with Braun Strowman. I thought that was a solid, fortified tag team that worked pretty well together, right? Like a guy that's just agile, and then Strowman who started to find his way a little bit. I think, with Ricochet, but
Where is
um,
Strowman?
he's hurt. He's
Oh,
injured.
I was gonna say I haven't seen Strowman in forever.
Yeah, he got a neck surgery. He had a vertebrae done. So
Holy
it
shit!
just, yeah, it's probably gonna keep me out for a little while. But I just want to see, like, Ricochet is just incredible in the ring. But like I told you last time we talked about him, just the dude oversells way too much. Like every time he goes for a tat or every time he goes for a cover, it's like it looks like he's on Broadway. You know what I mean? Like, dude, like relax, just calm it down. And those are like my little like idiosyncrasies that I hate about him. But like
It
he's
matters
just,
though. It
yeah,
matters.
yeah. But I think that if you're going to involve him in the story, right? It's nice that they're going to start that process with him, but it's the first time I heard him speak, essentially.
Mm.
And I'm like, yeah, not buying it, not buying it. So hopefully they build on that and he becomes better. But like it's weird because you see all these guys grow up in this wrestling business, right? And you see their progression and you figure that like these guys that are they're on the main roster right now, that they're gonna be good on like they're gonna deliver promos. They're gonna, and it just doesn't, sometimes it just falls flat. It doesn't work, you know? Um, yeah, you're not, every wrestler isn't going to be a Stone Cold. Every wrestler isn't going to be a Sting or a Hulk Hogan or these guys, right? Like
John
they
Cena,
have to give you,
yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I guess you got to take the bad with the good, but like, I mean, if you're going to feature these stories and if you're going to feature these guys, right? Like you better, and it's more on Ricochet than anyone. Like, he's got to deliver. Same way Finn Balor has to
Finn
deliver.
Balor, same thing. Yep.
Like these guys gotta perform, and if they don't, dude, like you can't keep it going. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just my rant. I'm sorry, I went on a rant a little bit.
No, dude, I totally agree. It's that connecting with the crowd. You have to be able to connect. And, it's funny. A great way to connect is by being funny and lovable. Sami Zayn, funny, lovable. And then you can throw in the emotion with it because you got people cheering for you because they like you. Chad Gable, Otis, people like them. Montez Ford, people like him. They want to see more of him. LA Knight. Now, LA Knight is someone that if I could pick someone to win, it would be LA Knight. I every time he's on the TV, I'm happy. Like, all right, let's see what's going on with LA Knight. Like, I'm tuning in. I'm not changing the channel. Problem is, if he wins, he's not taking the belts off of Roman. He's on SmackDown now after with the draft. LA Knight's definitely not taking off of Roman. So who's he going at? Is going to be LA Knight versus Theory. Is LA Knight and Theory going to be the match with the United States titles? And the more we dissect this Money in the Bank, the more I keep seeing Damian Priest winning the Money in the Bank, being somewhat involved in this match with Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, the
Mhm.
dissension between Finn Balor and Damian Priest. I love LA Knight to win, but I had him circled as my guy, but I keep leaning more towards Damian Priest now with the storylines. A Seth Rollins cash in seems more realistic. A Gunther cash in seems more realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's I mean, are you gonna have Ricochet win and cash in on Gunther or Seth Rollins? Shinsuke, is he gonna cash in on Gunther?
Well, listen, my one of my predictions was for Mustafa Ali to take down Gunther, because I still think that you got to elevate Gunther now to one of those two heavyweight championship belts. So I can certainly see it happening. It's just that you need a gateway to get Gunther. You need a shocking moment to get Gunther off that Intercontinental Championship. That's my opinion. So you think my my what I'm trying to say is like the Mustafa Ali thing would have worked because like you never would have believed it like that this dude's gonna win the belt, right? And he comes out like LA Knight is like he's like a kind of like a mid card guy in my opinion, right? Like he's mid card. He's not like to that level yet where he's heavyweight material. But like I think for Gunther, because he's been so dominant, you need somebody that just is like completely out of the ordinary to beat him. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I think the more you're talking about it, him and Butch had some classic matches. They were both in NXT UK, where Gunther was like the longest reigning champion of all time, right? And him and Butch had these incredible matches back in the day with him. What if a Butch were to win and cash in on now? It looks like Gunther and the Bro are having a feud. Maybe they have a match. Next thing you know, Bro and him have a great match. Gunther's laid out. Out comes in Europe, in England, you got Pete Dunne, aka Butch, cashing in on a Gunther in that crowd. I mean, the pop would be
Yeah,
huge.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's my point. Is like I think maybe I'm reaching here a little bit, but I just think that like I think you need to shock the world with the Gunther loss, right? And someone that's not a guy that like look, he's got to be an underdog in my opinion. Anyone that wrestles Gunther is going to be an underdog, right? But like if you throw like I don't know, let's get crazy, right? Say or Randy Orton comes back, right? And you have Randy Orton in a ring with Gunther, right? Like that's a pretty evenly matched match, right? Like you're gonna go, all right, well, like this match could go either way. I think if Randy Orton beats Gunther, that's like Okay, that's expected. But like if you have somebody that comes out like a Mustafa Ali or like a maybe even like a Dominic Mysterio, dude,
Dom
that
Dom.
would be nice. That would be a nice little like change of, but like it's obviously not. That's not in
People
the
would
cards.
cheer. People would cheer for Dom Dom if he beat Gunther. Don't you think?
Probably, probably, yeah.
That place would pop for Dom Dom to beat Gunther. But what do you think about that Butch idea? Butch wins it. I mean, it's never been done where they've won the Money in the Bank and cashed in on the Intercontinental Championship that night. They've done it
Yeah.
where they've cashed in on the heavyweight.
Well, it makes sense because they're putting a lot of stock into the Intercontinental title by letting him hold the title for as long as he has. So the more that the longer that this goes on, I don't I don't know Butch's whole backstory. I know he's been with the Brawling Brutes and all that stuff, and maybe that gives I don't know, maybe that brings Sheamus back into the picture. I don't know, dude, but like it would be nice to see Gunther drop it. I'd like to see him drop it to somebody that's just an anomaly, right? Like I don't know. I just think it's more impactful to do it that way
I
than
like that
have.
idea. I think, you know, you have Gunther like 1, 2, 3 kid him. You know what I mean? Like someone is like a boom, a shock. I would love at Money in the Bank to see that people in the crowd like, what the fuck just happened? Like, no
Yeah.
way that just happened. And that's one of the greatest parts of professional wrestling, is you remember forever the 1, 2, 3 kid. You remember the Brock Lesnar beating
Well,
Undertaker and his streak, etc.
so the thing that we were talking about was just like how Gunther has he has such a command over that Intercontinental title, and it's like, dude, at what point? I mean, he's almost in a Rome. He's not almost in a Roman Reigns era because like Roman Reigns is just obviously he set himself apart from everyone else, but like he's creeping up on some records right now, right? Gunther.
Roman? Oh, Gunther. Yeah. He's got a little bit of time to, I mean, the main record's Honky Tonk Man, but he's got, you
And
know,
that's a bullshit record. That's the stupidest thing. I mean, how that dude has the Intercontinental Championship record for holding the belt is beyond me. But um, maybe that's just one of those things that just stays true in WWE history. Is that hey, the Honky Tonk Man is going to be the guy that holds it, whatever. But my point is, the dude just needs. I think he needs to drop it because he's proven himself better than what the belt that he holds, and he needs to move on to something bigger, something better. I
he
would
needs to
believe
be
in a.
main eventing these shows with a
I would
with a
believe.
heavyweight championship.
I would believe that Gunther can take out Roman Reigns. If you put him against Roman Reigns right now, I go Roman Reigns wins, or I would say Gunther can fucking win that match. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like there's guys like Cody Rhodes. Like I felt that he could win the match, but now they got him wrestling fucking Dom Dom in a little mommy match. Like what the fuck is going on with that?
Well, Brock's off TV. He's on vacation. Brock takes his times off. And I know, you've been, I would say we're getting closer to a year now where you've been back in, I'd say, almost full swing and
Back in the saddle.
back in the saddle. But a big knock on Brock Lesnar for years is his time off. And you see it now happening with Roman Reigns. After the night after WrestleMania, what was it, a month and a half until we saw him? It was several weeks before we saw
Well, he
Roman
wasn't
Reigns.
involved in after he almost lost to Cody Rhodes. He was not seen for a month and a half, and this is where we got the explanation on why Brock Lesnar attacked.
Oh, don't do it to me again.
I mean,
Fuck.
at this, I mean, I'm glad that they came out finally on Raw and explain why. it happened. You
Yeah,
know,
it
it
was
was
great.
nice.
Yeah,
It,
to
you know,
fully to get the closure on
it was
why
funny.
Brock attacked Cody.
So what I heard was my sources told me that Finn Balor came out and tried to explain it, and then they just kept on singing Seth's song, so he couldn't really get it.
So Finn was gonna say why Brock attacked Cody, and then
Yes.
the fans kept saying. So we have the Money in the Bank and a lot of different angles where we can go with this. And this is why I'm saying maybe not a top star in there is a good thing, you know, and that we don't know where it's going to go. Who's it going to be? Are we going to shock the world and beat a Gunther with the Money in the Bank cash in? Is LA Knight going to win it? Damian Priest, Shinsuke, Ricochet? We don't know. All right, a little trivia on the Money in the Bank contract. Tim, there are two wrestlers that have cashed in the Money in the Bank contract on each other. Real quick, do you happen to know who those two wrestlers are? One cashed in on the other, and then later on, that one cashed in on the other.
I think it's our friend Dolph Ziggler.
Oh, unfortunately, that's a not Dolph Ziggler.
Mm.
Dolph Ziggler cashed in on God. How do I'm
Is that
drawing a
Jinder
blank?
Mahal?
No.
I know it was what's his face?
Alberto
Alberto
Del
Del Rio.
Rio.
Mhm.
The two wrestlers are Seth Rollins, who cashed in on Mr. Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar later cashed in on Mr. Seth Rollins a couple years later. Redemption. So, Tim, a lot of rumors out and a lot of talk on what is going on with a particular wrestler that me and you have both have missed from TV that we think is one of the greatest wrestlers in WWE today and needs to be signed to a new contract to have him around for the foreseeable future. Mr. Drew McIntyre is being rumored that he will be back in the mix by Money in the Bank. He'll be written into a storyline, and apparently, WWE is talking about having him being ambassador for the WWE in overseas operations. Tim, we need Drew McIntyre back on TV, a great wrestler, someone we love to see in ring, on the screen. Totally brings it. Someone that you could believe that could beat a Roman Reigns, a Seth Rollins, a guy that is a heavyweight championship contender. We need to sign Drew McIntyre. What are your thoughts? Would you like to see him back in the mix?
I've been an advocate of well, yeah, I've been an advocate of Drew McIntyre, not like Paul Heyman is the advocate for Brock Lesnar, but um the dude is just an absolute monster. He's such a big addition to the heavyweight division. Um he's he's just an asset to what they do in WWE. And I just I hope to God they get him back involved. And we talked about it a little bit before about how he had his run, with the Thunderdome during COVID, and that kind of sucked, and he didn't really get his just due. And hopefully in the future they have something planned for him where he can really, he can benefit from that, right? Like benefit from a nice little title run. What? And now they have two belts. Why not? Why not strap him with? Like maybe Seth Rollins loses it to Drew McIntyre, and he's got the WWE belt, the heavyweight belt, right? Like you have these two
Totally could see
opportunities
that.
now, which would be awesome. But yeah, I mean we've been clamoring for more Drew McIntyre. I mean his matches with Gunther, dude. Like if you look at this, look in the future, Tom. Look at the heavyweight division. Like you have guys like Drew McIntyre, like Sheamus, like Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Gunther, like all these guys. Like it's it's gonna be it's gonna be pretty phenomenal. I sent you a clip And I wanted to bring this up the other day, but the clip is Hulk Hogan talking about how there's no Hulk Hogan currently in the WWE,
Hmm.
right? There's no big draw really, right? Like I guess that's kind of what he was trying to say is like there's no guy like a Stone Cold or like a Rock or anything like that. Do you feel like there's something to that at all, or do you feel like Hogan is just a bitter old man that's out of the business and he's kind of pissed that he's not involved anymore?
I think there is a little bitter old man there. However, there is some truth to what he's saying, but it's a truth in a lie, if that makes sense. There's no It's almost impossible for that to happen anymore. Roman Reigns is as big as it gets right now in WWE. He hasn't transferred over to pop culture yet, but I would say it's a different time than when Hogan was around. It was eat your vegetables, take your vitamins. He was the guy. Stone Cold.
Eat your
He
vitamins,
eat your
say your
vegetables.
prayers.
Say your prayers. But so
You
Roman,
said eat your vegetables.
yeah, it's eat your vegetables, take your vitamins. Am I crazy?
I thought it was say your prayers, take your vitamins.
Well, I think it's eat your vegetables, say your prayers, take your vitamins.
I don't
Is
know.
there
Who cares?
vegetables in it? I
I
don't
don't
know.
think there's.
Did I add vegetables? But
I think
so
you did. I think you're
the
thinking about your kids.
that would be my tagline. The Thommer. Listen, kids, eat your vegetables. And they'd boo me out of the building. But so, yes, is there a Hogan? No, right now. Is there a Stone Cold? No. I mean, John Cena was, I guess, as close as you can get for the last 20 years, but and you see when he's announced for a show that the sales go up, but they're selling everything out. They're selling it all out, dude, and they're selling it out quickly. They're making more money now than they ever have. Prices are up, so I guess it's hard to say. I don't think Roman has the merch sales that Stone Cold had. I think he's still the GOAT with his Austin 316 shirt. He doesn't have an NWO shirt sales like that, but Roman's the guy right now. I think he's a little bit bitter, and times are different. It's hard to weigh now to back then. You just can't do it. It's a totally different world, and I feel like it's a little bit of a bitterness. And Hogan is is not a guy that a lot of like. There's a lot of people that dislike Hulk Hogan, because that doesn't work for me, brother. I can't do this, this and
Like
that.
the Sheik.
We yeah, and we can get into that at another time. That's a whole nother show. And I'm not trying to knock Hulk Hogan. Obviously, he's one of the goats of all time. But speaking of one of the goats of all time, an article came out, and I just want to give some kudos and get your thoughts on this real quick. Paul Heyman was interviewed this week, and he was talking about John Cena, who I guess you could argue was the present day Hulk Hogan. John Cena, and he said, John Cena is such a great guy. I can't tell you how good of a guy he was. He had to be persuaded to go public with his Make-A-Wish visits. John Cena holds the record for the most Make-A-Wish Foundation visits and Make-A-Wish wishes come true. And he didn't even want to go public because he didn't want to make it about himself. He just wanted to do the thing. Dude, is he not the best guy going? Is that incredible?
Yeah. I mean, that's look, dude. Make a Wish is incredible. What they do for these kids is has been something short of amazing. And look, a guy in the public eye that doesn't want to be recognized for that, that means that he has got a great heart. He's true to what he wants to do. He realizes, look, you know, John Cena's upbringing and his background story and all that stuff, and he's as a regular guy as you possibly can get. A guy that just kind of built himself up and turned himself into what he is to this day, and it was hard work and all that stuff, and it seems like it paid off, and I can see why he wanted to do that. Like keep it like, look, I don't need to be recognized for this stuff. Like this is there's people that would do amazing things with money if they had it, you know? And it seems like John got that money and he decided to take up his cause, and my God, I mean, he's made a difference, and thank God he's been recognized because he deserves all the credit in the world. People that do that deserve accolades. They deserve attention. So yeah, because other people want to do the same thing when they see stuff like that, you know? So
Yeah.
I'm sure he's got to be convinced of that every time he does something like that. But I mean, he leads by example.
Amen. And you know what? If you're listening to this, you most likely are a wrestling fan, and you obviously know there's a lot of wrestling haters out there. And when they like to hate on wrestling, why don't you give them that little story? Show what the guys in the WWE do on a regular basis for the kids around the world, most particularly Mr. John Cena. And if you get a chance, check out some of those videos. If you're looking for a good cry, go watch them because they're pretty incredible. The reactions he gets from these kids and the wishes that he helps come true. All right, Tim, I feel like if you had a wish, you would want to be meeting this next wrestler, Mr. Kevin Owens. Another great showing this week on Monday Night Raw. His where he goes off and he goes nuts and he's like, I'm not dealing with this anymore. I can't get enough of it. When he said this week that I got to get out of this shirt, I can't wrestle in this shorts and t-shirt. I got to put on a whole different pair of shorts and t-shirt to wrestle. I love, like, he's hysterical. And he puts on another show. They come out, they end up defending their tag team championships again. Little interference with the bro coming out, and they find a way to win again. They seem to deliver every week. Kevin Owens, is he the best wrestler in the world right now?
No, because we already identified Seth Rollins as that guy, and
Okay.
probably Gunther a close second. But dude, they have all the top guys in the world, and there's another promotion, obviously, that's they got something coming up on Saturday, and they're broadcasting about CM Punk and Chris Jericho and all these guys. And Jericho has always been a fan of mine. He's not been a fan of mine. I've been a fan of his.
Oh, he loves you.
He loves us.
Yeah, he's a
But
Schmidaholic.
but it's crazy to think that what they have going on right now, like their top guys are delivering on every level. And Kevin Owens is just one of those dudes that just gets it. And he is a chameleon, and he adjusts every single Raw that he comes out. Dude, he's either the crazy psycho guy, or he plays the tag team role, or he gets involved with the bloodline. Like he's their Swiss Army knife, and he delivered. Like I remember, like when he finally changed from being a little bitch that he was, and he turned into back into KO. I'm just gonna fight, and he just anytime he was backstage, he called somebody out. He'd go to the ring, right? And that was like in the last year, and he's carried that mentality over into what we're seeing now. Is like that didn't have to be a tag team belt match, and he's like, you know what? Screw it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's wrestle for the belts. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go to the ring. And like, dude,
And the
it adds
dynamic
so
with him and Sammy, he's like,
yeah,
are we really doing this for the titles now? Like
yeah.
it's
And
great dynamic.
it adds so much more to the show, right? Like
Right.
because like, oh man, like this is look, when there's a belt on the line, it makes it a little bit more special, right?
Yeah,
It does.
absolutely. And I want to say the last couple weeks they've done a great job of having entertaining, good shows, that have delivered for me at least. I've enjoyed them the definitely the last couple weeks. After WrestleMania, we had some duds. but some great premium live events. And then in this last month or so, I would say they've really started to pull together. They've developed these characters and these storylines that, certain guys are starting to come up. A Damian Priest, Bronson Reed, the guys that weren't in the mix is what I'm saying. And our other storylines going. They explained the Cody Lesnar thing.
Hey, Mom.
They didn't explain the Cody Lesnar thing, but so I've liked the show, and I thought, like you said, it gives it the whole show. It kind of ties a bow on it being a nice episode with the championship on the line.
Tom, I keep on finding myself more and more, okay, getting prepped for Raw and like actually getting prepped for SmackDown, like actually watching these shows instead of like looking up results and seeing things and like I'm more dialed in, and it's nice because like usually around like WrestleMania season it's easy because there's so many things going on.
Right.
But now I'm like, hey, like let's kind of see what's going on now. And look, there are some duds, right? Like there are some things that go on during Raw. Like a 3 hour show is going to have its lulls, and yeah, that's always been the ultimate criticism on Raw, right? Is like why are we doing 3 hours now?
Right.
And I think it's just it's but like the moments have been pretty solid and pretty entertaining throughout to keep my interest level there. So I'm happy with where we're at. I'm happy with where we're going. And I'm looking forward to seeing, my boy Dolph Ziggler. I'm looking forward to seeing my boy. Yeah,
Oh boy.
I'm can't wait to see Elias out there for Money in the Bank. He might be a special guest.
Where are those guys? Where have they been? Tim, another match announced. Mr. Cody Rhodes versus Dom Dom, scheduled for Money in the Bank. I love this match. You got the top face, minus maybe Seth Rollins, but one of the top faces in the WWE going against the top heel.
Before you go any further, you forgot to mention that it's a handicap match.
Oh yeah, you're right. Because Cody Rhodes, he has that broken arm. He can't even. Whoa! He's only got one hand going with the whoa.
That's it.
You know what though? It is made of titanium. Who knows what he could do with that thing? I am looking forward to that match. I feel like it's going to be a big pop for the crowd. I feel like they're going to be into it. Like we said, the top heel against the top face in the WWE. Money in the Bank is shaping up to be a great pay-per-view. Kind of like this has been a great show. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you like what we're doing, please give us a like, a share. Tell the person that you know with the most followers to start following Jabroni Drive.
Or if you know any WWE wrestlers that maybe not doing anything, or former wrestlers that are down on their luck, and maybe
they're looking for a
plug.
quick pick me up. They want a quick hit Jabroni Drive.
Send them our way. Send them our way.
We'll gladly tell them everything there is to know about professional wrestling. Well, we hope you've liked this episode. Timmy, you got anything you want to say to all the Schmidt and Lavellites out there before we sign off?
I do, Tom. But I don't want to say it right now. I'll say it on the next episode of Jabroni Drive.
Oh, I haven't seen a cliffhanger like that since Sylvester Stallone in 1995. Remember that movie, Cliffhanger? Sylvester Stallone?
Great movie.
Yeah. As I said, my name's Tom Lavelle. I'm always accompanied by Mr. Timothy Schmidt. This is Jabroni Drive, our best episode yet. Please tell your friends, tell your family, tell a stranger. Jabroni Drive, the greatest, fastest growing professional wrestling show in the history of professional wrestling shows. Thanks again for listening. We'll catch you next time on Jabroni Drive. And if you're not down with that, Tim, what do we got for him?
We got 2 words for you.
Thank you.
What's that?
That's it.